Hello guys, welcome once more, and today we'll be talking on Booleans. So last time we have worked with playing with variables, playing with numbers, dealing with printing and so on. And we're going to be looking a bit into a concept we mentioned once, and that was on Booleans. These are values that could either be true or false only. There are no other extra values we could have in booleans, but in numbers we could have -3, 3,000, 4,000. It's really an unlimited range. However, for kind of limited, but let's just say unlimited. But for booleans we have just two values, true or false. And booleans originate from statements. Now a statement could be one like it is raining. Right now I don't think you can hear any rain in the background, and I'll not lie to you, there is no rain, so that statement is false. Or we are working on Rust programming, which is a true statement because that's what we are doing right now. We are learning it. Another example could be, is he male? Or let's say, is he 23 years old? That's the question. Depending on if he is that actually that age, we are then going to declare that he is that or not. So we can only have Boolean values from statements. We can't have them from questions. That's why I had to say depending on that. That's why in programming, we're not going to be asking questions. We're going to actually be making statements, and based on the statements or based on the result of evaluation of these statements, they could be true or false. So we're going to start with the basic example here by creating a variable n of type i32 and assigning the value 10, and we'll be playing with the variable n here. So we're going to see some basic examples of how to create Boolean values from statements. And the first statement we're making is n equal to 10? We already know that n is 10, right? So what we expect to see is true. If Ross prints out false, let's stop this course right now. We're never going to do this again. Joking. So we'll have our place value for the result of the expression. Like we said, all data types or most basic data types in Rust tend to be printed only as string literals. So let's say n equals to 10. Now look at that carefully. You have two equal to signs, while here we have one. We expect to say n equals 10 here, but this is not actually how we read this statement. This statement is assign the value 10 to n, or n is assigned 10. However, this is n equals 10, which is now actually an equality operator to check if these two are equal, and based on the result, based on the expression, we get printed true. Now we have our result as expected printed out to us, meaning that this statement is true. Let's create another statement. N less than 10, we expect to see false, right? False. We're using print instead of the print ln. The difference between these two is this print line actually prints this string literal and then goes to the next line and waits for the next command to be printed, and that's why this will pick up from the next line. So we see this on two different lines. So n is less than 10 as expected, right? Let's try another one. N greater than 10, still going to be false, right? However, let's do another quite interesting one. We have seen that there are two ways to make statements. Is n equal to 10, is n less than 10, is n greater than 10, similar to something like, is it true that it's raining today, or is it raining today, is he male? Those are questions we are like asking, but because these are now statements, n equals 10 is going to show us true, n less than 10 is going to show us false, n greater than 10 is going to show us false, because they are all false. These two are false while the first is true. Now if we go to a much more interesting one, let's copy this. Let's copy this and let's say n less than or equal to. So the combination of this is less than or equal to. And when we say less than or equal to, let's talk a bit on what the word or means, right? So I'm just going to open a little notepad here, and let's say excuse me, it is French keyboard. It is raining today, right? This is one statement. Let's make another statement. We are learning Rust. Okay, so this statement evaluates to false, as we already said, while the next evaluates to true. So it is raining today, or we are learning Rust. When we use or in this, it doesn't matter if one of them is false. As long as the other is true, the whole statement becomes true. So this is going to evaluate to true. And we're not actually following statements, or we're not following some drawn laws here. It's just basic English. If you say she is a boy or he is a boy, you have made a true statement because he is already a boy. So just from the he, we already know that that is what is it. That is what it is. Sorry. So what I'm simply trying to explain is, when you're working with two statements and we have some word coming like or in between them, what happens is, if one of them is true, it's automatically true. The only time when it becomes false is if we have both false and false to give us false. True and false to give us true. True and true obviously give us true. However, there's another interesting one. Let's replace this here with or. And copy this to and. It changes the whole show. It's raining today and we are learning Rust. That's not true, because this is not happening and this happening. So false, true in this case is going to give us false. False and false is definitely going to give us false. True, false is still going to give us false. True, true is the only time we ever get anything like true. And that's because if we have an and between two statements, then they would have to be true for the entire combined statement to be true. So with that said, when we say n less than or equal to 10, the second part of this is true. The first part is false. So this is going to print us true. And if we also say n is greater than or equal to 10, we expect to see true because one of these statements are true. There we go, right there. So with that, we are going to try creating a Boolean variable to see, because we have been creating variables with numbers and strings and so on. So we're going to create a new Boolean variable. Let's say let is raining type bool. If you don't provide a type and we say false, we expect to see bool given to us by VS Code, right? And let's create another variable. Let is learning Rust equals true, right? So this is also a Boolean, and this is how we create Boolean variables. All we just need to do is assign the bool type or bool annotation to it, and it automatically takes only true or false. If we try to put something like string here, it becomes a problem because expected bool found string, right? So we're going to undo that and leave it at true. Okay, note that Rust is this kind of languages that ensure that you cannot say capital T for true, because this is not correct. Whenever we have to use, you may want to use a bool value instead. Small true, small t, true with small t, sorry. So that's why we have to change this to true here. So that's it. Let's now try out these our statements to see how correct I was in making these claims. Just going to copy them and put them in our program as comments. Okay, you could do the same, so you could just see evaluations and the expectations here. The first statement will say print I need to learn programming. I'll type in print this. I'm just going to duplicate this. People need to teach me a faster way to do this because I am not very good with VS Code, shockingly. Okay, so let's try out the first statement. Is raining or is learning Rust? Why am I receiving French standard with a new line? I'm getting an error under here, so okay. Forget to put the macro symbol. I saw this fancy exercise where one just did this on multiple lines at the same time. It was very cool. Okay, so let's try the next. Is one is false, is raining, and is raining. We'll add another extra statement for this, so let's just work with this for now. Another is it's learning Rust or it's raining. And let's add is learning Rust or is learning Rust. So just going to copy this and we'll change this from that to this. Okay, sorry for the delay. Let's look a bit at this. Now we have been using interesting symbols here. This stands for an OR symbol, right? It's another way of saying is raining or is learning Rust. On this other one here, the ampersand symbol stands for and. Is raining and is learning Rust. So when we run this, how this is going to be read as is raining or is learning Rust, is raining or is raining, is learning Rust or is learning or is raining, sorry. While for this is raining and is learning Rust. So let's run this and see the result of it. We have dirt in between all of this. Or let me show you something nice that we could do. So we could just make this have line breakers here. So this \n, what it does is it acts the same way as this ln we have here by causing there to be extra new lines below. So we're going to see two new lines since we have used the \n twice. If we use it just once, let me show you. This is the result of this part, and then we have a line break, which is this empty space we have here before this. If we use it twice, this is going to be doubled. So let's look at our result and let's look at what we thought. True. Just repeat this because it's confusing. Okay, so let's compare with our expectations. The first is true, the second is false, third is true, fourth is true, right? On the next part for and, the first is false, 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 and true. So through this, what we've been able to do is we have done basic statements with numbers to check for booleans. We have created a boolean variable, we've created two boolean variables, and we have made basic statements using these variables. Now you may be asking, why is this necessary in the first place? There are many times when you're going to use this in programming. So you may want to get all students in a particular class for an application you're building where you only want male students. So you may need a boolean for that. Retrieve all students if gender equals male. So that statement, gender equals male or student.gender equals male, has to be true for you to retrieve that student. So there are other many situations where you may want to do something if the student is a male, do something if the student is female, do something if the student is non-binary. So you could do that with booleans, and booleans help us a lot in programming, even though they're actually the smallest unit, taking just two values, true or false only. So so far we have learned a bit much. That's cool. We'll be looking on to the next video where we're going to be saying something, or we're going to be working on something I just mentioned right and it's going to be on if else statements. See you next video, guys. Thank you very much.